Pack your bags, F1 fans. This year we're off to Miami. And Austin has just extended its contract to host the US Grand Prix until 2026. You know you've made it when you're big in the USA, but just what will it take for F1 to break America? Welcome back, Formula 1 fans, to another video. While you're here, help us out by hitting the like and subscribe buttons and ring that notification bell to be updated when we post new videos. The United States Grand Prix has been held off and on since 1959, but it only became a regular on the F1 calendar in 2012. And the 2012 Grand Prix in Texas was the first in 4 years. Why did F1 wait so long to come back? Well, because at the previous US Grand Prix, held at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, fans spent half of the race booing as the drivers raced. Attendance was dire, and Bernie was quoted as vowing never to return to Indianapolis and had no future plans to return to the US. Sure, that didn't last long, but F1 has never really found a large fan base in the United States. There's no denying that Formula 1 has always been seen as more of a European sport. Europe hosts more races than any other continent, most of the teams and drivers are European, and for a long time it was seen as primarily of interest to the Brits, Italians, Germans and French. Asian interest improved in the second half of the 20th century, but F1 still struggled to find traction in the USA. But why is that? Well, F1 has a bit of an image problem in the US, and it's a twofold problem. When folks are used to IndyCar and NASCAR, which has a certain reputation, it can be hard to get them interested in F1, which has a very different culture. I hate to say it, but motorsports in the US is seen by some, not all, as lowbrow, meaning F1 is struggling to win over new fans who look down on motorsports for that reason. On the other hand, as one person on Reddit put it, I've been to both IndyCar and F1 Grand Prix. At Indianapolis, I'm sat on the grass drinking a beer and eating hot dogs. At Monaco, you're drinking fancy wine and eating stinky cheese. People who are used to and love the more popular American motorsports see F1 as a bit too posh and bougie when they just want a good time. Obviously, the Formula 1 group have tried to change that perception because who doesn't want a piece of the biggest market in the world? But how do they compete with the likes of baseball, NASCAR and American football? In 2017, F1 was purchased by Liberty Media, an American media company. Since then, they've been on a real push to break America, making it a key part of their strategy. Liberty Media have made F1 one of the fastest growing sports on social media in an attempt to educate casual fans on the nuances of the sport. But undoubtedly the biggest factor in the rise in US interest in Formula 1 has been down to Drive to Survive. The Netflix show has brought all the behind the scenes access anyone could want, giving us unique perspectives on the key races and incidents each season, intimate interviews with some drivers, and even a soap opera reality TV feel when it shows us everything from Carlos Sainz shopping for fajitas in M&S to a heart-stopping analysis of Romain Grosjean's horrific crash at the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix. It explained what the transfer silly season means by following Nico Hülkenberg in his agonising wait to find a seat for the next season, and it made an unlikely star of everyone's favourite sweary Italian uncle, Gunther Steiner. It made a sport about cars driving around in circles exciting and accessible, and spurred a global increase in fans, many of them in the United States. The F1 group are also making it easier to watch F1 in the States. Liberty Media tore up their existing screen rights agreement they had with NBC and launched their own subscription service, F1 TV, for the die-hard fans who will pay to watch every race. But how to hook the casual viewers and bring them into the F1 fold? You give them F1 for free on ESPN. It gives fans an entry point to the sport at zero cost, gets them hooked, and when they want more content, there's F1 TV, ready to take their money in exchange for the interviews, race analysis, and additional footage and onboard radio. Currently, F1 is only topping out at 1 million US viewers. You compare that to the 10 million Premier League matches get when Chelsea or Manchester United are playing, and it doesn't sound like much. But predictions are for that to keep going up, especially with the coming 22 season. Because, of course, we're getting a shiny second F1 circuit and Grand Prix in Miami.
Grew up in a place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the pace.
Liberty aren't stupid, and they know to build a US fan base they'll need more US races. Talk of races in various cities have been bounced about for a while now, but in 2021 a second US Grand Prix was finally confirmed, and this year we're getting an inaugural Miami Grand Prix. By all accounts, people are excited about the race at Miami this year. There's been a lot of praise for the great layout, a 3.36-mile, 19-turn track conveniently situated near a major stadium complex. And the drivers have almost all spoken about how much they're looking forward to racing at the new track. Attendance at last year's US Grand Prix was record-breaking. With the increased grandstand capacity and having missed the 2020 season due to COVID, the Circuit of the Americas was packed, with more than 400,000 fans in attendance over the course of the weekend. Charles Leclerc commented on how, for the first time, he had actually been recognised when out and about, and Lewis Hamilton remarked that F1 had really been accepted by the American fans. If they can replicate that in Miami this year, it can only mean more US interest across the rest of the country too. And it might not stop there. There's a lot of talk around a potential third American race on the calendar, possibly in Las Vegas, which would definitely appeal to the lights and high drama of Formula One. The United States is a big country, and its F1 fans are spread out geographically. It wouldn't be surprising to see another US venue on the list next year. And it's not just fans that are seeing the light in terms of Formula One. McLaren and Williams both have seen US investment last year, and more teams are gaining sponsorship and commercial deals from US companies and brands, including Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Red Bull. American investors are seeing F1 as an opportunity to advertise, get their name on cars and merchandise, and open up to a wider base of potential customers, and F1 is reaping the rewards. There's just one missing component to really drum up US fans: an American driver. Sure, the Americans have really taken to characters like Lewis Hamilton and Danny Ric, but nothing drives popularity like a home driver. Look at Kubica. Since his return to F1 in 2019, viewing in Poland went up by a whopping 256% and brought Polish investment to the sport. Max Verstappen is another great example. He's brought in 30% more Dutch fans to the sport and an incredible 2 million fans, 11% of the entire population of the Netherlands, watched his win in Mexico. An American driver would be the best way to get more viewers from the US. Sure, we have an ostensibly American team in Haas, but the car clearly resembles a Russian flag, it's sponsored by a Russian company, and has one Russian and one German driver behind the wheel. I'm not sure Haas alone are enough to bring in the viewing figures Liberty Media want to see. Unfortunately, the interest from US fans has not yet translated into an influx of top-level US drivers, but it's surely only a matter of time. Anytime a sport gains traction with fans, you find more young people wanting to be part of that sport, and F1 will be no exception. The USA already has a great culture around karting, which in the past has been an entry point for drivers into NASCAR and IndyCar, but now that spark will be there for some of those young drivers to pursue Formula One. We may have to wait a few years, but it surely won't be long till we see the stars and stripes on the championship points table, and even one day hear the Star-Spangled Banner on the podium. Can you see? What do you think, Formula One fans? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching!